大家好，我係 Joe。今年績效第一嘅 Howard Marks 最新嘅訪問。Howard Marks 係橡樹資本老闆，過去一年大市雖然負17%，而佢依然正數10%，位居眾多基金之首，跑贏 Michael Burry、巴菲特等人。橡樹資本過往嘅表現亦都驚人。我哋一齊睇下佢最新訪問入面嘅分享。
In the real world, things tend to fluctuate between pretty good and not so hot. The pendulum swings like this. But in market psychology, it swings from flawless to hopeless. And when things become not so hot, but psychology goes to hopeless, that's a great time to buy. And now I think things are roughly in balance. I think investors are not panicked anymore. And so Oaktree is operating in its normal fashion, not highly aggressive, not highly defensive.
而家市場已經冇6月嘅時候咁 panic 㗎，佢喺6月嘅時候覺得可以開始入貨，就好似近期 CPI 超預期，本來對市場係唔好嘅息路，但係美股咧都連升咗幾日，見到個市場氣氛已經冇之前咁差，甚至美聯儲有出嚟去放鴿，就係話加息嘅速度會放慢。
There is no technique or algorithm or formula or method that will produce superior performance. It's a matter of perception, experience, knowledge, emotional control, which not too many people have, and patience, as I mentioned, an accurate feel. It's feel.
總括佢講嘅嘢，即係股市冇必勝法。佢嘅投資理念咧，同巴菲特好相似。要贏大市就唔可以做人人都做緊嘅事，要 depart from the crowd， 捕捉市場恐慌嘅時機。而最重要係累積自己嘅知識同埋控制自己嘅情緒，先可以贏到大市。其實你自己日常生活入面接觸到最多嘅嘢，呢個就係我哋嗰個 lead， 就係我哋自己嘅強項。我哋有呢一啲比人哋多嘅 knowledge， 比人哋多嘅資訊，其實先可以贏到其他人。
Sometimes the consensus is right, which means you can improve upon that. The importance of being different is that sometimes the consensus is wrong, and if you can detect those times and move in the proper direction, you can do better than the consensus. That's this idea you mentioned, Ivan, of the importance of being different. And what are the main mistakes that the consensus makes? And they are emotional. When everybody else is jumping out a window, it's not easy to say, no, things aren't really that bad. People are overdoing it. They're panicking and selling. I'm going to buy. I believe that these stocks, which did by far the best in the rally, were punished the most in the correction. Many of them were down 50 to 70%. Tech stocks in general, not necessarily those five. And now I think they're essentially fairly priced relative to everything else.
2020-2021牛市時候表現最癲嘅股票咧，亦都喺今年入面跌得最痛，特別係 Cathie Wood 嗰類嘅成長股，因為加息對佢哋影響係最大，好多嗰類嘅股票咧都仲係未賺錢，而係要靠借錢度日。咁而家加息即係個融資成本、借錢嘅成本息口貴咗，所以對佢哋嚟講就唔係咁好。相反，蘋果呢一類 cash cow 其實就唔使太擔心，跌得多甚至佢會自己回購股份，自己買返。
When I started, you had the feeling that what mostly made stocks go up and down was how the companies did. Today, investors are much more preoccupied by what we call the macro, which means economics, interest rates, inflation, currencies, government policies, international affairs, geopolitics.
呢個轉變其實我都十分認同，只有美國先可以無限印美元，其他嘅國家如果要印佢哋自己嘅貨幣呢，係需要有大量嘅美元支撐，又或者由佢自己嗰隻貨幣貶值，即係好似而家日本面對嘅情況咁樣，佢要不斷印 yen， 咁佢就要接受 yen 係會不斷貶值，除非佢有無限嘅美元。所以美國公司股價成長可以係因為美國有銀紙，又或者間公司真係成長好。
The important question is, if there's a recession, how bad, how long? And my naive view tells me that it will not be too strong a recession and will not last too long, because especially because the dynamics of labor demand are so strong.
實體經濟嚟講，其實美國的確唔差，因為美國收割緊全世界，但係其他國家就唔太掂啦。嚟緊全球經濟嘅增速都會減慢。
is by being long-term oriented and patient. And most people have become very short-term oriented in the last, since I've been in this business. And they hold the things they hold for very short periods of time. Number two, have reasonable expectations. Everybody thinks about, I'm gonna buy this stock and double my money. I'm gonna buy that stock and triple my money. If you can make 10% a year for 20 years, 1 renminbi will become 8.
合理預期呢樣嘢我覺得係好重要，特別要寫低令自己記得自己嘅合理預期係幾多，因為預期唔合理嘅時候係好易做錯決定。我聽過有啲人話佢本世所以個目標係300% 一年，即係話要3倍。呢一種目標其實就會不斷逼自己去做一啲唔好嘅決定。如果本世應該要先去諗提升主動收入，令到個本大啲，咁樣比起喺股票入面賺錢其實更加容易，同埋花更加少嘅時間。如果大家對於點樣提升主動收入呢個 topic 都有興趣嘅話，歡迎留言話我知。下次見，拜拜。